guys, and welcome back to art class. What we're going to be doing this week is going to be part 1 of 2 for a fall landscape drawing. What we're going to do today is I'm going to guide you step by step through how to draw your fall landscape. And then next week's assignment, I will have another video for you where we'll talk about how to color it, how to make it look realistic. But for now, let's get to the drawing part. All right, all you're going to need for this project is a piece of paper to draw on, a pencil, and an eraser would be pretty good to have on hand too, just in case you need to make any mistakes. And there are a few little parts here and there that I'm going to have you erase so that things, look correct. You're also going to notice that I have a few vocabulary words here underneath my box where I'm going to be drawing. I'm not using a regular piece of paper for this. I'm using my chart paper because I wanted to make a really large rectangle for you so that you'll be more easily able to see exactly what I'm drawing. But you're doing yours on a regular piece of paper. Make sure your pencil's nice and sharp. Now you can see that my vocabulary words include horizon line, vanishing point, foreground, middle ground, and background. I know those probably don't sound like much right now, but you'll understand exactly what all 5 of those things are by the time we're done drawing. We're actually going to start with the horizon line. You can notice that my rectangle that's supposed to be my paper is being held horizontally. Something that you might notice when you're printing something off of the computer is it gives you an option for a way that you want to turn your paper. You could have your paper this way, which is portrait, or you might notice that they might also offer landscape, which is horizontal. All landscapes are held horizontally. All right, a landscape can be a drawing or a painting or a photograph depicting a large area outdoors. Sometimes there might be a few people, sometimes there might be a building here and there, but in most cases, landscapes are nothing but wide open land. Lots of trees, lots of nature, lots of open space. Personally, landscapes are something that I love to paint because it doesn't involve too much detail and I can really move my brush around. But we're going to draw a fall one. And we're going to use trees and a pathway to make it look three-dimensional and to add these different vocabulary elements. So a horizon line separates the land from the sky. One of the most famous horizon lines would be if you've ever watched the Disney animated film The Lion King, when it opens up with the circle of life and has the sun coming up over the horizon. So we are going to draw a horizon line that goes across the middle of our paper. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle. I would put it either in the middle or up just a smidge higher. I wouldn't put it any lower. You always want your land area to be a little bit bigger than your sky area. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw myself a horizon line. You do not need a ruler for the horizon line. Horizon lines are not perfectly straight. They look pretty straight from far away, but the closer you get to a horizon, you can notice that there's always hills and bumps and things in land. They are not perfectly straight, so do not worry about using a ruler. Now that I've drawn my horizon line, I'm going to add a vanishing point. You can probably guess what happens when things get to the vanishing point. They vanish. The closer things get to a vanishing point in a picture, the smaller and smaller that they get. And we're going to use our vanishing point to create a pathway. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to make a very, very tiny, you can probably barely see it, a very tiny little dot. You don't want to make a huge circle. We don't want to see the vanishing point. We're not making a tunnel or anything. We just want to make a little mark to help us find where it is. And now we're going to make a pathway that's going to be smaller closer to the vanishing point, but get bigger as it gets toward the bottom of the paper because it's going to be closer to us here. And we're going to make it kind of a windy pathway too. We don't just want to do a straight pathway. We want to make this fun. So I'm going to start at my vanishing point and I'm going to make kind of a little S curve like that. All right, and I'm going to do another one next to it, but closer to my vanishing point, it's going to stay close, and the further down we pull, the wider my path gets. This creates the illusion of having a pathway really close to us right here that we could just step into the photo and walk further and further and further away, which is a pretty cool effect to make in a landscape. Now we have our horizon line, we have our vanishing point with our path, and now we're going to create 3 areas in a landscape that are very important, and that is the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. Next up, to make our foreground, middle ground, and background, we're going to show those 3 areas by creating different trees. Now the foreground is going to be the area that is closest to you, and this is where objects will be the largest and have the most detail. And a lot of your foreground is here toward the bottom of the paper because this is the area that is closest to you. For example, if we were looking at our screen right now, if I could be with you, this would make more sense. But the foreground, I'm actually closer. You can see more details of my face. If I were to stand back here in the background of my screen, I'm a little bit smaller in size and you probably can't see as many details. All right, this could be better demonstrated in person, but we'll go with this for now. So my foreground, middle ground, and background trees. These trees are still going to have leaves on them because when we color in the next lesson, we will be creating fall trees and using lots of bright colors just like you would see in the fall. So I'm going to put my foreground tree right over here. I'm going to do it pretty close to the bottom. I'm going to leave a little space, and I am going to draw the trunk of my tree so that it comes up just a little bit over my horizon line. I'm also going to branch out with a couple branches that you'll be able to see. I may even put a couple branches off of the paper. And I'm just going to, with my pencil, just kind of draw some very rough lines to indicate some leaves that are on my tree, and here as well. Now obviously my tree is not see-through, so this is where my eraser comes in handy, and I can erase my horizon line away from the middle of my tree. Just make sure any lines that you accidentally erase you put back in there. Since this tree is closest to me, maybe I might see some roots at the bottom. Maybe some of the roots are poking up from the grass. I can probably also see some of the lines and texture from the bark of the tree. And these are things that I'll go over with my colors. I'm just going to draw them in for now with my pencil, just to indicate that this tree is closer to me and I can see more details. This is my foreground. Kind of think of foreground, middle ground, and background, kind of like when you go to Burger King, for example, and you can order a small, medium, or a large drink. This is the large. So now we're going to go to the middle ground. The middle ground kind of already says it in its name. It's located in the middle of the paper, and everything in the middle ground is about medium sized. So we're going to make a middle ground tree right over here. It is not going to be as big as this tree. It's not going to be near the bottom because it's not in the foreground. It's going to be right around here. I'm going to draw 2 lines, again, crossing over my horizon line. Now my middle ground tree is, still decently close. So I'll still have a couple branches. I'll color some leaves. But I'm not really going to put any details or texture on my tree because it is a little bit further from me. I can't really see those details in the middle ground, but I'll still have it colored. All right, just like that. And then maybe I might have some grass in front of that tree here. Also down by my foreground, I'm going to be adding, when I color my grass, I'll add more texture to my grass. Going to be texture in the front here. All right. And now I need one more tree to show my background. The background is in the back of the picture. Everything in the background is small and looks like it is far away from you. So we're going to make this tree right here, pretty close to the vanishing point. It's going to be just a tiny little guy. I'm going to add where my leaves would be. And that's it. Erase that little line in the middle. And there's my tree in my background. So I have a tree that is closest to me, a tree that is a little bit further away, and a tree that is really far away. Now, we don't just want to leave our sky looking plain, so what we can do now that we've drawn the trees is I'm going to make some mountains in the background. I'm going to bring a mountain up here. I'm going to pretend it goes behind this tree and off the paper there, so I can fill in some mountains in my background. If you want to draw some lines indicating some snow on the caps of those mountains, that's a good idea. Again, we're going to add this all fill this all in with color next week when I show you the color video. But for now, we're just drawing. Since this is also going to be a fall landscape, there are a couple things that we could add to make this look a little bit more festive. So maybe, maybe next to my tree here, I'm going to erase this little blade of grass that I drew. Maybe next to my tree here, I'm going to draw a pumpkin. It's up to you if you want to make it a jack-o'-lantern or not. I'm keeping this just a fall landscape, so I'm just going to keep it simple. Maybe I might have a fall pumpkin here. Maybe I might draw a little hay bale here. It's got the string tied around it, and I'm going to make that look more like a hay bale when I color it in, and maybe I might even put yet another pretty large pumpkin here. Since this is my foreground, anything I put here can be pretty big. Now I want you to notice the way that I'm moving my pencil right now, everything's pretty scribbly, all right? If I take you guys and move you a little bit closer, you can see how scribbly my drawing is. That is called sketching. Those are using sketchy lines. I'm gonna fix them all up when I color and I, really finish up my project next week. But for now, I can have a little fun with that. I'm thinking my middle ground tree needs a little something. I can't really see a lot of details on the tree, but maybe something that I can see from far away is I'm going to put a little oval on this tree that later when I color it, this will be like a little hole that maybe like an owl would be living in or something like that. So this is adding a little something to my picture. All right, and that's it for drawing your landscape. So make sure you draw it nicely. Hold on to your paper, keep it somewhere safe, because next time I am going to show you how to use some colored pencils and some crayons, markers, whatever you have. We're going to probably use colored pencil though to color in your landscape and make it look even more realistic. So have fun and feel free to send me a picture of your work so far. This is not what you're handing in for a grade, but you can definitely send it to me so I can see how you're doing and give you any pointers if you need help. All right, make sure you send that to me on Teams. All right, have fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.